on a faster track. Maybe we're more diligent and militant and stop talking about securing inherently insecure payment systems and focus more intensely on descoping or on new technologies that are less Swiss cheese. But current course and speed, I see professionals like ourselves in this room are net neutral or slightly pissy towards PCI. I think we need to don an attitude of insurgency. We need to be rebels and basically push back to make sure that in no breath, in no boardroom, in no merchant or enterprise do we ever allow the digital dozen of PCI or compliance mandates to be conflated with good security.
Cool. Thanks, Josh. We do have about 8 minutes left, so let me. I'm not sure, but I think Mike may have something to say.
Let's take a comment later.
Let me. Good.
What it really comes down to when you watch what happened as the card associations, which are now limited liability corporations, pushed the risk down onto the issuing banks, who then pushed the risk down onto the merchants. Okay, what we're really talking about is when you get your bill at the end of the month for the de facto world currency, and you look at that interest rate, which is between 17 and 2 million%, and the prime rate is still 0.5% or less. You start looking
Absolutely.
at that, you know what it is? It's goddamn protection money that we're paying. We're paying off the fraud because it's easier to hide fraud losses. And I dare any of you to get an actual fraud loss number from either Visa or MasterCard. It will not tell you. It is
If I could.
As far as the cost of replacing the system, do an overlay.
And
the new system, it costs a cent per transaction.
And the Illuminati track is in the next room, please. But what I do want to make a comment of, is that information security is something that we are not doing well as an industry. And if we are doing well, then it's going to be measured by the fact that the attacks are going to continue to get better and better, right? So one of the things that I think that we have to consider is that we are continuously trying to address information security. These are not massive problems, as Josh describes. These are not, rogue nations hacking into the Pentagon type thing. This is basic, flat files, tons and tons of information being stored there, right? Why are we not protecting them? Why are we not addressing them?
By protecting, you mean deleting, right, in this case?
So do flat files deserve 70, 80% of the security spending? Because that's what's happening. It is a simple issue when you put it that simply, but the overall net impact to the environment, to the market, is it is the number one driver of spending. That's not a Josh quote. That's a fact. The number one driver of security spend is compliance, and of that group, the digital dozen and derivatives and copies like the Nevada law.
And to that response, I would say that
of the focus. So it's not simply flat files.
I have sat there in front of so many people where they have said to me, thank goodness that PCI came along or some type of X regulatory issue came along, because until then I had zero budget, right? My organization wants to do zero on information security until it's required to from X perspective. And we've heard this from talking to so many people at the event today. I don't have enough money. I'm not being supported by upper management, blah, blah. All right. These are the types of things that help us.
Okay.
Go.
All right. Go.
Go.
We keep using the term information security when talking about PCI, but we're just talking about protecting credit card numbers. We're not talking about the database that has the social security numbers or your intellectual property or anything like that.
Yep.
So we're just protecting.
Michelle makes a very strong point, which is that this is credit card data, or this is card data only. And we've talked about this, and companies that do, it comes back to the problem of good faith. If you make a good faith effort to be PCI compliant, you will be more secure. But if you didn't make a good faith effort to be secure in the first place, maybe your version of de-scoping is pulling the credit apps that you take for your in-house charges and putting them on a separate database so they're not in PCI scope and you don't have to protect them until 201 CMR or whatever pushes it through. One of the points that I'd like to make that comes up is the reactionary nature of this. PCI follows the security industry slowly and cautiously, and you can make an argument that we don't want them jumping on the latest cutting edge thing. We don't want a bullet point that says you have to be patched against Aurora. But They're basing it on the security industry. And the security industry, most of us in this room know that our industry is very reactionary. I mean, the threat is evolving faster than we can imagine oftentimes. We come here to scare the crap out of ourselves, and it works very well. And then, over the course of the next months or years, we catch up to that. And then, we'll go to DEF CON and see that it's gotten worse. We'll be back here next year and see that it's getting worse. But we're 2 layers removed. I mean, the threats are evolving. Security tries to react to that. And then compliance regimes, not just PCI, react to that. So we are down to about 5 minutes.
Okay.
We're out of time. Sweet. We are out of time. Bruce says we're out of time, so we are out of time.
We're out of time.
Thank you all.
Did you anger people?
We talked about PCI at a hacker.
Oh, yes. Yours is longer.